This video is about Rubbernecker's Layered Poppy Set number 860. We take the packaging and the two stamps that come with it. You have a solid portion and an outline portion. We're going to take the stamps and we're going to lay them over the top of the packaging. Just like this. And we lay our block on the stamp so that the edge of the block is parallel with the edge of the packaging. We do the same thing for the outline portion. Edge parallel with the edge of the packaging. That gives us an alignment for the set. Now, we're going to take the outline portion, or I'm sorry, we're going to take the solid portion to begin with, and we're going to ink it with Ranger's Distress Tumbled Glass. This is a dye ink, and you can use anybody's dye ink to do this. Anything that's water-based will work on this, as long as it's a dye ink. Now we're going to take a Yasutomo water brush, and we're going to put some water onto the stamp. About a third of the stamp, I guess, in water. Just like that. Now we're going to take the water brush and we're going to pick up some color bursts. This is from Ken Oliver Craft. It's a watercolor powder. It's very intense. We don't need to pick up very much. Pick up a little bit of blue, like that, and we're going to touch it into the wet areas that we added, where we added the water to the stamp. Just like that. We'll take the same brush and we're going to pick up some yellow color burst. We'll add some of that to the stamp as well. And that's all we need to do for color. Now we're going to use a Ranger Mini Mister. We're going to give this several spritzes of water so that all the water, all the color burst and the ink has a chance to kind of blend together. Now onto a piece of watercolor paper, we'll stamp it down. And as it starts to dry, the colors start to intensify. But it does take quite a while for it to dry on watercolor paper. And because our next step is to emboss, we're going to set this one aside and we're going to work on one that we made up earlier. Every time you stamp it, it's a little bit different, but they all look great. So now we're going to take the outline portion of this and we're going to ink this with Ranger's Distressed Embossing ink. But anybody's embossing ink works fine. Versamark would be an excellent choice. Keeping the edge of the block parallel with the paper, we'll line it over the color and stamp it down. Give it a nice firm push because we're working on watercolor paper. It looks like it came out great. We'll sprinkle some embossing powder on here. The embossing powder we're using is made by Mania out of Las Cruces, New Mexico. It's an excellent embossing powder. If you like to emboss, I would highly recommend that you contact them. Now we use a Martha Stewart hair dryer and dry this up. I apologize for the noise. Martha Stewart the dryer is not real hot, so it takes just a few seconds to get this going. Then the embossing powder melts beautifully. This is called the Silver Nickel. It's very, very nice silver color. We're going to take our Rubbernecker hand-drawn border frame stamp, give that a little bit of Ranger's Black Soot Distressed ink. Just put a little frame around this card. Then we also have a little phrase set that has a little frame built into it that all the phrases fit into. And there's a nice little beginning of a pretty card. That was Rubbernecker's Layer Poppy Set number 860.